From the sun-scorched deserts of North Africa to the cold skies over the Mediterranean and Eastern Front, Italian aircraft flew in one of the most challenging air wars of the Second World War. Often overlooked, the Regia Aeronautica fielded a vast and diverse fleet. Fighters built for agility, bombers designed for range, seaplanes that ruled the Mediterranean, and transport aircraft that sustained Italy's far-flung forces. These machines reflected both Italy's aviation ambition and its industrial limitations. In this documentary, we explore every major Italian aircraft used during World War II, examining their roles, designs, combat performance, and historical significance across all theaters of the conflict. Italian fighter aircraft emphasized maneuverability and speed, reflecting pre-war doctrine focused on dogfighting rather than heavy firepower. As the war progressed, Italian designers raced to modernize their aircraft to meet increasingly advanced Allied opponents. Fiat CR-32, a biplane fighter that formed the backbone of Italy's air force in the mid-1930s, it saw extensive combat during the Spanish Civil War and early WWII campaigns. Though outdated by 1940, it remained effective in experienced hands and served in secondary roles throughout the war. Fiat CR-42 Falco, one of the last biplane fighters to see widespread service in WWII. The CR-42 featured excellent maneuverability and rugged construction. It fought in North Africa, Greece, and even on the Eastern Front, where it proved surprisingly resilient in ground attack roles. Macchi C.200 Saetta, a modern monoplane fighter introduced at the start of the war. It was highly maneuverable and structurally strong but lightly armed. The C.200 served extensively in North Africa and the Mediterranean. Macchi C.202 Folgore, widely regarded as Italy's finest early war fighter, the C.202 was powered by a license-built Daimler-Benz engine. It offered excellent speed and climb performance. Its limited armament, however, reduced lethality against heavy bombers. Macchi C.205 Veltro, a refined evolution of the C.202, the C.25 featured heavier armament and improved aerodynamics. It was capable of matching Allied fighters but entered service too late and in limited numbers. Fiat G50 Freccia, Italy's first all-metal monoplane fighter. It featured an enclosed cockpit and retractable landing gear, but suffered from limited range. The G50 saw combat in Europe, North Africa, and Finland. Fiat G55 Centauro, one of the most advanced Italian fighters of the war. It combined excellent firepower, speed, and handling. Allied evaluations ranked it among the best Axis fighters, but production numbers were low. Reggiane 2000, a capable, but underutilized fighter with good performance characteristics. It was used mainly for defense and reconnaissance roles. Reggiane 2001 improved over the Re 2000. This fighter was adapted for fighter, bomber, and naval roles. It operated from land bases and aircraft carriers. Reggiane 2005 Sagittario, Italy's most advanced piston engine fighter. Featuring heavy armament and excellent high-altitude performance, it rivaled late-war Allied aircraft, but was produced in very limited numbers. Next, we examine the bombers that carried Italy's offensive reach across the Mediterranean, Africa, and beyond. Italian bomber doctrine favored speed and range over heavy defensive armament. Savoia-Marchetti SM-79 Sparviero, Italy's most famous bomber, originally designed as a fast passenger aircraft. It became an exceptional torpedo bomber, sinking significant Allied shipping. The SM.79 served on all fronts and remained in service throughout the war. Savoia-Marchetti SM.81 Pipistrello, a trimotor bomber derived from a transport design. It was used extensively early in the war for bombing, transport, and paratroop operations. As newer aircraft arrived, it shifted to secondary roles. Savoia-Marchetti SN-84, intended as a replacement for the SM-79. The SN-84 featured improved speed and payload. Structural weaknesses and handling issues limited its success. Cant Z-107 Alcione, a 3-engine medium bomber known for speed and smooth handling. It served in bombing, reconnaissance, and maritime strike roles across the Mediterranean. Cant Z-118 Leone, a more modern bomber with all-metal construction. Production delays and engine problems restricted its operational impact. Fiat BR-20 Cicogna, Italy's first all-metal bomber. It conducted long-range bombing missions over Britain, the Mediterranean, and North Africa. Piaggio P-108, Italy's only heavy bomber comparable to Allied 4-engine aircraft. It carried heavy bomb loads over long distances but suffered from reliability and limited production. The Mediterranean War placed enormous importance on naval aviation. Italian aircraft specialized in maritime patrol, torpedo strikes, and fleet protection. Savoia-Marchetti SM.79 torpedo bomber modified specifically for anti-shipping operations. This variant became legendary. It played a decisive role against Allied convoys and warships. Cant Z.506 Airone, a floatplane used for reconnaissance, bombing, and search and rescue missions. It was capable of operating far from base and often flew under heavy enemy fire. Cant Z.501 Gabbiano, a maritime patrol flying boat. Though slow and vulnerable, It performed long-range reconnaissance and rescue duties throughout the war. Fiat Aeronautica fought through a twin-engine seaplane used for maritime reconnaissance and anti-submarine patrols. It operated mainly in the Mediterranean and Adriatic seas. Next, we examine the aircraft tasked with intelligence gathering and battlefield awareness. These planes provided crucial information in a war defined by fluid front lines. IMAM Ro-37, a biplane reconnaissance aircraft used extensively early in the war. It served in North Africa, East Africa, and the Balkans. Later, it transitioned to training roles. Caproni .3 Leone, a light reconnaissance and transport aircraft. It was used for observation, liaison, and supply missions in difficult terrain. Caproni K309 Ghibli, designed for colonial reconnaissance and ground attack. It operated in Africa, conducting patrols and light bombing missions. Transport aircraft kept Italian forces supplied across vast distances, from Libya to the Eastern Front. These aircraft often operated under constant threat from enemy fighters. Savoia-Marchetti SM.82's Marsupiale, Italy's primary heavy transport aircraft. It carried troops, vehicles, and supplies and could operate over extreme distances. It was also used as a bomber in emergencies. Savoia-Marchetti SM.75, originally a civilian airliner, the SM-75 was adapted for long-range transport and special missions. It conducted record-breaking flights and supplied Axis forces in North Africa. Caproni K133, a rugged transport aircraft used in Africa and the Balkans. It operated from rough airfields and carried troops and cargo. Finally, we examine the training aircraft that prepared Italian pilots for combat. These machines formed the foundation of Italy's wartime aircrews. Fiat Nardi, a biplane trainer used for advanced flight instruction. It helped transition pilots to modern combat aircraft. Nardi FN-305, a modern trainer and liaison aircraft. It was widely used for pilot instruction and communication duties. Caproni K164, a basic training aircraft used for initial flight instruction. It was simple, reliable, and produced in large numbers. Breda BY-25, an advanced trainer that prepared pilots for operational aircraft. It remained in service throughout much of the war. From agile fighters to torpedo bombers and long-range transports, Italian aircraft played a critical role across multiple theaters of World War II. Despite industrial limitations and late war shortages, these machines shaped air combat in the Mediterranean and beyond, leaving a lasting legacy in aviation history.